Something absolutely huge is happening in the world of finance, and it's happening right under our noses. We're talking about a massive shift that's about to unlock the most valuable assets on the planet, for everyone. So let's dive in and see how the very idea of ownership is being completely rewritten.
And look, this isn't some fringe idea brewing in a corner of the internet. The absolute titans of finance, okay? We're talking BlackRock, the biggest asset manager in the world, and JP Morgan, a pillar of global banking. They are pouring billions into this. So when you see these guys making moves like this, you know it's not a question of if this is happening. It's happening right now.
So this really gets to the heart of it. Just think about this for a second. What if you could own a piece of basically anything? A slice of a skyscraper in Manhattan, a brushstroke of a Monet painting, or even a share of your favorite sports team. Imagine all those high walls that keep most people out just vanishing. That's the core idea we're going to unpack.
To really get why this is such a game changer, we've got to first talk about the old system, the one it's replacing. Let's be honest, the traditional way of investing has worked great for a tiny group of people, but for everybody else, it's like a fortress you can't get into.
I mean, think about trying to buy an investment property. For generations, that meant you needed a mountain of cash for a down payment, a perfect credit score, and probably the right connections just to get a look in. These are the very assets that build serious wealth, and they've been almost completely off limits for the average person.
And the difference between the old way and the new way is it's night and day. The old way is a marathon, right? Months of paperwork, endless waiting, just to close a deal. The new logic is a sprint. We're going from needing a small fortune to getting started with $50. From a 3-month process to a 10-minute settlement. The scale of this change is just staggering.
So you might be asking, how is this even possible? Well, the key, the magic ingredient that makes this all work, is a technology that allows for something called fractional ownership. And it all boils down to one word: tokenization.
Now, it sounds complicated, but it's actually a really simple idea. You take a real-world asset, like an office building, and you digitally slice up the ownership of that building into tiny little pieces. These pieces are called tokens. Each token is basically a digital proof of ownership for your tiny slice, and it's all recorded on a blockchain, which is just a super secure public ledger that nobody can tamper with.
The platform Lofty has a line that just nails it. It makes this whole idea click. Their goal is to let you buy and sell real estate as effortlessly as trading a share of Tesla. Just think about that. You can buy a stock on your phone in, 30 seconds? Now imagine that exact same ease but for a piece of property. That's the future we're talking about.
But here's where it gets really, really exciting. This is so much bigger than just buildings. The potential here applies to, almost everything of value. We are literally watching brand new investment worlds being born.
And let me be clear, this isn't some theory for the year 2040. It's happening as we speak, right now. Today, over $32 billion worth of real-world assets have already been turned into tokens. This is real, and it's happening at scale.
And the variety of things being unlocked is just mind-blowing. You can now get direct access to US interest rates through tokenized treasuries. You can own a tiny fraction of a rare painting. You can invest directly in environmental projects through carbon credits. You could even get paid a tiny royalty every single time a song you partly own gets streamed online. It completely changes the definition of what an investment can be.
Now, this all sounds pretty huge and institutional, right? But maybe the most exciting part is how it brings all this power down to the individual. So the real question is, how can you actually get involved in this?
Well, companies are already building the marketplaces for this new world. We mentioned Lofty, for instance. They're building what they're calling a NASDAQ for real estate. Basically, a fluid, open market where you can buy and sell these little shares of property instantly.
And the price of admission to this new world? As we saw before, you can get started with as little as $50. That's not just lowering the barrier to entry. That's taking a sledgehammer to it and knocking it down completely.
And the process itself couldn't be simpler. You find a property you like, you buy a fraction of it with just a few clicks, and you can start earning your share of the rental income that same day. I'm not kidding, not at the end of the month, but daily. And if you want out, if you want to sell, there are no lock-in periods. You have total freedom to sell whenever you want.
To make this even more real, check this out. This is a specific property from Lofty's platform, a house in Albuquerque, New Mexico. You could literally own a piece of this house, earn a share of its rent, and in this case, the projected annual return is over 16%. It's not an abstract idea. It's a real house you can invest in.
Okay, so let's zoom back out to the big picture. When you combine this kind of access for everyday people with this kind of powerful technology, you don't just get a new investment product. What you get is a full-blown financial revolution.
The efficiency gains here are just off the charts. Transactions that used to take days, sometimes weeks to finally settle, they now happen in minutes. And the cost? By cutting out a lot of the middlemen and putting this on a blockchain, we're seeing fees drop by over 70%. The whole system just gets faster, cheaper, and way more transparent.
The potential scale of this is hard to wrap your head around. Projections show that the market for tokenized stocks alone could be worth more than $1 trillion by 2030. $1 trillion! And remember, that's just one asset class out of thousands that are now being unlocked.
And that brings us right back to our very first question, but now with a totally new perspective. We are truly moving to a world where any asset, from a sports stadium to a patent for a new invention, can be traded instantly by anyone. In that world, the very definition of an investor changes. And so the only question left to ask is, what will you own?